So, pretty much everyone in the analysis community, even quite a few people outside of the analysis community, have been talking about the whole ToonKritic thing. And honestly, I'm mixed on the discussion we've been having. On one hand, I think it's great we've been able to talk about the event in detail and get every side and get on all of it, and essentially come to the conclusion of what he did was wrong. We can all come to that conclusion. Even the ones who think that maybe he should get a lighter sentence, or maybe some even feel he shouldn't go to jail at all. I've heard that argument from a couple people before. They're rare, but they do exist, mind you. They all agree what he did was wrong. On the other hand, though, we have not really had a discussion on how to prevent the next ToonKritic. Because keep in mind, it is fairly possible that any analysis member that you like, any Brony reviewer you like, the next day could turn out to be just like ToonKritic. And when the powers that be, this is going to sound really conspiratorial, but I can't think of a better way to say it, honestly. But when the powers that be, the bigwigs, if you will, of the Brony analysis community, think Josh Scorcher, think Golden Fox, think Ephrom, think all of them, think the Wilsonator, think Dr. Wolf, when they seem contempt on not allowing a real discussion to happen. I covered this just last night, but several of them were either saying he needed help, or even a couple were saying he needed forgiveness. Dr. Wolf directly said that. I can guarantee you it's because they either know someone and are close to someone, or maybe they are the person who has similar skeletons in their closet to ToonKritic. That's just basic psychology. That's why these people hang out with each other. Because then they can all keep each other's secrets. The thing is, though, with Toon, his secrets got out there. And no one in the community was willing to support that, by the way. If you look at all the videos made by his former friends, almost all of them were saying, no, this crossed the line. First off, they were saying pedophilia crossed the line, which I do applaud them for. However, they were also saying this is not how we intended for the information to get out. So how did you? They never answered that. Okay. So why do they not want a real discussion to happen? It's because they're similar at the end of the day. They're pretty much the same people at the end of the day. The only difference is Toon crossed that final line, that being pedophilia, and he was a bit more open about it to start with. So I kind of want to start that discussion. I want to be able to see if we can sort of get a how do we stop the next one of these discussion happening. Because I feel that's equally as important, not just that we condemn these, but that we consciously keep them from propping back up. Honestly, I have a couple ways that come to mind. The biggest way I think that we could decrease almost all of these is simply hold people accountable more. I know that sounds like, oh, you're all just blind sheep. I don't believe that. I want to make that clear. I do not believe that. I, however, do believe that we do not put enough pressure on top analysis to really hold each other accountable. It's well known that Toon had been doing things similar to what he was caught doing for years, and once the first story broke, several stories that didn't involve pedophilia, mind you, but were still bad, including manipulating, not showing any real care for the other human being, and many others, started propping up left and right. If they were so common, at least a couple of his friends had to know, and they refused. They refused to consciously let him check on him. They just let him get away with a, I'm sorry, essentially. That needs to be fixed immediately. We need people who are top members of the community to keep each other in check. So that way things like this don't happen, because when you have power, especially in smaller groups like the Brony analysis community, just psychological that, yes, some people are going to abuse it. You know, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Is that how, I think that's how the saying goes. And then that power, he wasn't even that popular, mind you. Josine wasn't even that popular. He got in contact with the right people, though. And that gave him the ability to do things that I couldn't do, for sure. I guarantee you watching this video couldn't do. Or at least not do without immediately being disassociated with on every level. And there were several people who admitted they stopped contacting Toon because of that, and I support all of them. People like Sketchy the Changeling, for instance. Or Vita's another example. However, the fact they were so rare honestly shows the problem. This should have been a majority of people. People should have been in droves saying, I'm not going to be associated with you until you cut this out. They never did that. Until he crossed the final line. And even then, if you watch the call, British Ninja was still trying to make deals with him. He was saying, okay, look, we'll give you some time to turn yourself in, I guess, and then if you don't, we'll do it for you, I promise. Yada, yada, yada. You know, that kind of thing. And yeah. The other thing we need to do is we need to, in order to actually improve our image, not care about how people perceive us. Let me explain. Because when I saw this, there were comments. I think I saw this one on DeviantArt. Lily P showed it off in her video of this guy saying it was a false flag because someone thought ponies were for little girls. And that kind of thing. You know, if you say, oh, this prominent member of the brony community is a pedophile, that could easily be turned into all bronies are pedophiles. A lot of people can take it like that. The thing is, though, the best way to get rid of those people, because the people who this will not work on are unreasonable, and you cannot reason with unreasonable people. You just can't. The people who this tactic would work on, who are reasonable, though, would be convinced the other way in almost a minute. If we all took a stand against it, we did not until a long time afterwards. Top members of the community knew this was happening, by the way, and didn't say anything. The call that was leaked was recorded at least 3 days before we got any information. Keep that in mind. 3 days. And they didn't even want it to be released for longer. You know what Toon could have been doing at that time? He could have been covering his tracks. He could have been making up excuses. He could have been finding other victims who were not aware of the information. All because, oh, it may have made the community look bad, so might as well not release it just yet until we can give our prim and proper statements. I swear, sometimes it feels like the entire community is ran by a bunch of flanderized rarities. I swear. With how, oh no, we must give the most prim and proper, everything is perfect. Oh, by the way, I'm going to look at you, and I'm going to sort of point you like this, but I'm not going to use my index finger, because that may make you feel too scared. I'm going to sort of point my thumb at you, kind of. That's what the community, that's what these people actually wanted it to be like. Imagine if the information never got out there in full. Imagine if we didn't get all 500 screen caps. It would have just been the bare minimum. And Toon could have taken full advantage of that, by the way. You know, it's... And the other thing, by the way, is I feel like we need to somewhat increase transparency in the fandom. And I don't mean we need to broadcast every petty argument or something like that. Nor am I saying that there should be like a YouTube account where you can find all these people's Skype calls or something stupid like that. I'm saying when something major breaks out, it should be something that the people of the fandom know. Again, this was going on for years and no one said anything. I guarantee you if when Toon first entered the Brony fandom and he started doing this, someone had said something, either this would not have happened today, or he would have kept his nose clean in the first place. He wouldn't be around. He either wouldn't be around or he would have kept his nose clean after that and not escalated to pedophilia. When he's doing things like groping people and manipulating people and all of that, and I feel like the people should know when stuff like that happens. Now, again, if it's, just something private, then okay, fine, I don't care at that point. But when it's actually starting to affect other people, against their will, mind you, then I have no issue with that information being public, and I have no issue with the friends making that information public. I think it should be how it's done. And holding their feet so people can hold their feet to the fire later. And I'm not advocating for lynch mobs, mind you. I'm advocating for basic ability to do some research and decide whether or not you can support the product. But anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.